Israel united in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
Hey, shalom, 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 family, Most High in Christ bless. Welcome to another Thursday edition of Precept Upon Precept. We're your host, I'm Captain Shem.
Officer Matthew.
Officer Mikael.
Officer Thomas.
All praises to the Most High. So tonight we're going to touch on the commercialization, the commercialization of the so-called holidays or holidays and how it relates to black and brown Hispanic people and why we need to stay away from this. We're going to go into some history tonight. But before we start, let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. We always go here because you're going to find out tonight's class. I mean, it's going to be very clear that we are the people of these curses. It is just staggering. 28, and let's go to verse head and tail. I think it's verse... You should become the head. Yeah.
Verse 44. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
So the reason why you're going to find from tonight's class why so many of us are consumers is because we are the buyers. We don't lend people anything. Okay, they have several black banks that went belly up in the 90s, and I think late 80s they had a couple of them. Read it again.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
It wasn't always like that. When you go to the book of, matter of fact, let's get that First Kings. I'm going to show you it wasn't always like that. This just came to my mind. I didn't have this written down. I think it's First Kings chapter 10. Let me look at it real quick. It's about Sheba. Let's see. Yes. Let's go to First Kings chapter. This just came in. First Kings, this is a heavy. Listen, this is anytime you get depressed that you broke, and you want to uplift your spirit, go read about Solomon, all right? We're going to show you. We're going to read this real quick. So we're black people. We're the Israelites. Were we always consumers? Were we always liquid money like we're going to show you today? Read.
First Kings chapter 10 and verse 13. And
All right.
King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire.
Right, and I like the fact you went to 13. You can start at verse 1, you at home, and read this. But what you're going to find out is this rich queen Sheba came because she heard about the power, the fame, and the wisdom of Solomon. She came there, and she had great riches when she got there. Solomon was so rich and powerful. This is the culmination. Go ahead, Thomas.
Beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty.
What it said?
Beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty.
So he had a royal bounty, man. He had so much extra. He said, just go to the royal bounty and just give her something. Read on.
So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants.
Yes, sir.
Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents of gold.
Now, you can do the math a little bit later on you, but I know this much. The weight of gold was 603 score. 603 scores. So 660, okay? Well, look at that number. 666, right? Is that the number? Mm-hmm. People are going to say Solomon's a devil, right? Well, he damn sure got the devil on him, right? Spent some of that money on a couple of strange women. Read it again.
Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents of gold.
Now, hold up. A talent, maybe you say, well, maybe a talent is an ounce, right? Can you look up real quick? This is a sidebar. Look up talent, biblical definition. And now, while you get that, I want you to put up, this is coming to me right now. Put up the, Bishop Nathaniel brought this out years ago. And it's very profound. Go to the article where it says, it's not even a real article, Dame Dash, Patch, liquid money. So we went from King Solomon, the king of Israel, who had a royal bounty so large, he brought 666 talents of gold in annually, right? Taxes were paid to the Israelites throughout many parts of the earth. To now, this is what we become. Check this out, Patch. I can't do. Am I supposed to read that? We supposed to read that? Okay, so we got new. Our tech guys going big time. They got all type of. We're doing things like Atlanta right now. All praise the Lord. Yes, sir.
Liquid money. Dame Dash says a Jewish businessman calls black people liquid money because we give it all away.
Read it again.
Dame Dash says a Jewish businessman calls black people liquid money because we give it all away.
Now, here's the thing. Number one, Dame Dash is telling the truth. So do you think that's the only Jewish guy that said that? Meaning all the Jewish guys, they just found the one racist Jewish guy? No, they got all the names for us. They got all the different things that they say about us. Dame Dash has just got big money. They're like, well, he's a different type of Negro. He's one of us because Dame had money. Dame is a businessman, right? So this is what they're saying about. Read that on, and then we're going to open the show up. I just wanted to start with, we were not always consumers. We were not always victims of economic warfare. We were not always like that. Read. I'll go back. There you go.
In a recent article, Dames quoted a colleague saying, "We call you, black people, liquid money."
And he told him straight. Read.
The same way that water falls out of a man's hands.
The same way that water falls out of a man's hand. Read on.
Money typically seeps out of a black person's hands the same way.
Why did he say typically? Because there are some of us, a small percentage of us, who have money and do have a small amount of black wealth. But when he said black people, he's talking about all of us. Just like you say black people are denied certain rights and privileges, there are some that slip through the cracks. There are some quotas and some affirmative action status brothers and sisters. And there are some who have just the token. They just represent the token of our race. But the vast majority are viewed like that. Read on.
Your community gets money and immediately gives it all away to people who aren't black.
Showing you he's disrespecting Dame Dash in his face. He's like, you people. Now, typically, but he's like, Dame is one out of 100. And this Negro here, he's a little different. But he's so confident in his assertions, he can talk about Dame's people right in front of him. And he'll do it in a way, and Dame's like, shit, you're right. Right? Read on.
We see that as a huge business opportunity.
Damn.
Examples used. Black people on a payday or when they get our tax refunds. He noted blacks to an Indian business to cash the check. An Asian hair salon. A corner store owned by Arabs and or a department store owned by whites. When it's all said and done, those other business people are waiting like hungry animals to eat blacks' bank accounts as if they are of the prey.
Now, very good. Why did we go here? And this is the reason why. And some of us today still fit this because it started really right after so-called Halloween is when they start pushing it. From November until January 2nd, that time period is when these businesses go from red to black. They make their money, right? And much of the spending is from our people who buy things like that Jewish man said we did. So I just wanted to show you, number one, we weren't always poor. Number two, we are like liquid money. And we're going to show you that in today's show. So I want to start with that. Not to be long-winded, brothers, please bring forth scriptures, because tonight we have, it's going to be a depressing show. I'll tell you right now.
Hey, Cap, can I get the Most High calling us liquid money too?
Please do.
Let's get Haggai 1 and 6. Haggai 1 and 6.
The book of Haggai, chapter 1 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
Ye have sown much,
and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it in a bag with holes.
Because as soon as that money comes in, it's going right back out because we are liquid money. We don't know how to keep our money. We don't know how to save our money. We always want to spend. What you
Hey.
got to say, officer?
Hey, go to that News One article. The News One article. Let's see if that was a, you know how people say that's a parody site, or that's I've never heard of. What was the name of it?
And it is, and I don't usually do that. That is a less than credible source, but I was quoting that because Bishop Nathaniel went into it, and
Right.
and I know it's true. We know it's true.
We're gonna find out right now. It's very true.
Lack buying power in the pandemic. How COVID-19 is changing our holiday spending.
So this is black buying power, like Bishop always say. That's not a power to buy something. That's not a power. That's a liability. You got the power to buy something. Anybody got the power to buy something. But watch what happens when they show you the point of reference during the COVID-19 pandemic. Go back to the article.
'Tis the season to dig deep in your pockets and open up your pocketbooks for the 2021 holiday shopping season, which officially got underway the minute Thanksgiving ended and Black Friday began, as companies and businesses offered their goods and services at deeply discounted rates in hopes of cashing in on the billions predicted to be spent by consumers over the next 2 months.
In 2 months, they're predicting to make billions of dollars. In 2 months, billions of dollars will leave the black community. I want you to think about that. Go back to the article.
You know what's crazy? On Black Friday, Esau made all his money off the slaves.
Exactly.
And he's still making all his money off the slaves on Black Friday.
Hey, you know what's funny? I know that, and I understand it. It's the red and the black. Why it gotta be called Black Friday? Let's really think about it.
Because it was
why not Green Friday? They make big money in Green Friday.
it was the most profit. Because in business, when you're in the black, you're in profit.
Right.
But it was black people sold for discount on the original Black Friday. That's where the name came from.
We got to get something on that because people need to see that. I didn't even know that. Damn.
Go back to the article. All right, go ahead, read that.
Last year, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was some concern that black consumers may not be able to maintain their reliability, formidably buying power.
Their reliably formidable buying power. So wait a minute. There was some concern. Who was concerned about black people not being able to have the same buying power? Could it be the same people that wait like hungry animals that the last article that Cap just showed? They said they wait like hungry animals to eat our bank accounts. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they said that there was some concern that black people wouldn't have the same buying power. Let's read on.
What with the unfortunate combination of a sky-high levels of black unemployment coupled with the disappropriate availability of low-wage jobs.
So because black people was losing their jobs left and right, and the unemployability was high, the unemployment was high, they thought that black people wasn't going to be able to spend like they used to. Read on.
But according to Nelson, which provides analytical insights and the habits of consumers, there was no significant drop-off in black buying power during all of 2020.
So, although there was black unemployment, people was losing jobs left and right, we in the middle of a pandemic, black buying power never dropped off. They still spent money. Matter of fact, keep on reading. Watch this.
Let alone the holiday season. In fact, there was an overall increase in buying power.
How black people, how in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of oncoming famine, do you have more money to spend on the other nations and not your own people?
That's them illegal PPP loans that everybody had. Everybody was getting 20 racks.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them, the Fed's coming for y'all. But it goes to show you that even in the middle of a pandemic, black people still find a way to give their money to the other nations. In the middle of a pandemic, you love these people so much, you putting their kids through private school from K through 12 and college. In the next 2 months, we're going to spend all of our money and resources instead of stacking up for what's to come. Everybody going to lose their brains just like they did when the thing first started. When the pandemic first started, everybody was mad because they couldn't get toilet paper. Instead of putting your minds together and saying, you know what, let's put our brains together and stock up on things that we need. Nah, y'all just going to buy a whole bunch of useless stuff at a discounted rate because they can market to you.
Hey, real quick, let's hold this article. Look up the definition, liability, and then look up the term asset, because our people are consumers that take on liabilities and don't build assets or have ownership. Can we look up the word liability? Not as in liability as liability insurance for a vehicle, but what is a liability as in the noun when you get a chance. So real quick, one thing that we need to understand is that when you brothers and sisters get your stimulus checks, because stimulus checks are going to keep rolling down the line. And the reason why they're confident in giving stimulus checks, because most of our people give mostly the whole thing back. So it floods the U.S. economy. Get me the book of Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. The Bible tells, and it's precept upon precept, because in Matthew 6 it says the same thing. All right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 8. We can start at verse 18, please.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God.
So one of the reasons why they call you black people liquid money, and if you're Puerto Rican and Cuban, you're black too. Okay, you Peruvians and West Indians, you Israelites, read it again.
But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God.
And we forgot. We used to be in Solomon's position. We had royal bounties, and everyone knew about the wealth and fame of the Israelites. Today, everybody knows about our fame because we are the ones that are called liquid money. We are the ones, like Officer Matthews said, we're the ones that they stand by like hungry animals waiting to devour our resources. Read on.
For it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth.
So what we have not understood for many years is that it is God. God the Father through his Son Christ gives us power to get wealth. And wealth is not always about money. That's why Bishop has told us for years, get some land, okay? Start farming. Start creating land that's going to be worth something. Knowing how to grow your own crops. I got some brothers right now in the South who are raising quail, okay? We need to start getting our minds right. Who would have thought to take a stimulus check and try to buy maybe 30 quail? Well, you'll go out and sisters will buy $800 worth of weave, shoes, and fake nails and eyelashes. And we got articles to go into that. And it's embarrassing that, and when we say black, please understand this. Some of you Latinos drive me damn crazy. When we say black people, we are referring to light-skinned so-called mulattoes, you so-called Puerto Ricans who think that you mean no negro. You're a bunch of damn Negroes too, and you are called the same names behind your back, except for you think you're not getting called that. That's the only difference. All right? When I said that, and it used to be me. So we got to understand we're the same people. Read it again.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God.
That's right.
For it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth.
That's right. Read on.
That he may establish his covenant with which he swore unto thy fathers.
That's right.
As it is this day.
So the covenant did not go anywhere. It is up to us now to return to the Lord. So when we bring forth these articles, which they're insightfully disrespectful to us as a people, when we actually read about, it should make you depressed. It should make you feel like, damn, man, it's here. We are 50 years after the civil rights movement, and this is still Matter of fact, whole Officer Matthews article. We're gonna segue. I got to go here. Yes, give me them definite. Thank you, brother. You on point. So, even some of you today might not understand this. There are assets and there are liabilities. And we as a people need to create assets to create generational wealth. All right? Read that, please.
Liability, the state of being responsible for something, especially by law.
Nope. That's a different that we want.
Number 2, a person or
No,
thing.
that's not what it is. Look up financial definition of liability. That is a definition of liability, but the context we're talking about is finance, right? So a liability and an asset. Yeah, you probably could have. Okay, there we go. That's good. Okay. And it's probably a better one than this. Okay, so read that, please.
A liability is something a person or company owes.
A liability means you are in debt. You do not own that flat out. Read on.
Usually a sum of money.
Generally, it's money you owe. Hey, payday loan, 28% interest rate. Vehicles that you purchase for $17,000 and the book value is $12,000, and they loan you the money at 12% interest. This is a regular thing with black folks. I know a brother right now, I feel sorry for the brother. He didn't listen to counsel. Got a car payment, huge car payment, overinflated price, because he don't listen. Okay? A lot of you brothers don't listen. It used to be me. They didn't listen to nothing. And you learn over the years, you better start paying attention to some of these other brothers that have been through it, been there, done that. Read it. I'll read on.
Recorded on the right side of the balance sheet. Liabilities include loans, account payable, mortgages, deferred revenues, bonds, warranties, and accrued expenses.
So that's liability. Now let's get asset. Some of you who understand finance, this is a review. A lot of us don't understand this. That's why the car commercial. I don't know if y'all see it when you used to be in the world and Christmas used to come around. They would make the dopest car commercials. It would have the perfect camera angles, and they would have, like, it would lead up to it. In the end, it would be a bow with a car, like a Lexus commercial. You'd be, oh, wow. And every year they market this new car year after year, when you find that cars can last you 20 years if you buy the right car. Now you're not paying all that money. If you get a house and you pay it off, okay, so you might have to live in a medium-sized house. There's always a connotation. You have to get better. You have to do more. That's not true. That's an American Babylonian mindset that is destroying us as a nation. Read the asset, please.
Asset, a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality. Property owned by a person or company, regarded as having value and available to meet debts.
So this is important because what the Jewish man that said black people, you Negroes, are liquid money. Those are people who have liabilities. The asset holders are the dudes that make those statements. Solomon used to be able to say that back in the day. These heathen that like liquid money, because he had a royal bounty, and he took care of the Israelites. Matter of fact, get me Ecclesiastes. This is coming to me. Ecclesiastes. I think it's 3 or 2. It said it shows the wealth he had, and it goes by, I planted orchards in, yes. Here's an example of great wealth and power. This is your forefather, our forefather, King Solomon, a man that had royal bounties and was visited by other rich people who went away feeling defeated because of the power of his wealth and wisdom. Now today, Sharika buys a weave and a handbag and spends half her stimulus check and thinks she's doing all right.
Hey, Cap.
Tell me I'm lying.
Something heavy about that. Social acceptance is a liability. That's why they spend $800 on hair. That's why they spend money on weave and fake nails, fake hair. That's why brothers spend $400 on Jordans. $1,200 on Kanye shoes and $300 on a pair of pants and stuff like that. Swagger is a liability. The way the social acceptance social media gives you is a liability. All of that pressure to fit in, those are liabilities because it keeps you in debt.
That's heavy. And you know, and you put that in perspective because social media rules many of our lives. Here's an example, case in point. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm approaching 50 soon, and I like to talk on the telephone to people still. Most young people don't want to do that. They haven't had a 5-minute telephone conversation in a month. Okay? A lot of people want to and I'm not texting, talk, all that has a great place to communication. But sometimes calling a brother up and just talking, that is a lost art. Okay? I'm telling you. A lot of these old brothers in their 60s and 70s, I'm telling you, they don't check their phone but once a day. They like to talk to people. Right? And guess what? That's part of what you're saying. You feel like, I can live and not accumulate any social skills, but I'm still in my own mind super social because I got 1,000 friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and all these other things, apps. I don't even know what the hell. There's so many of them. I don't even know. Asa knows he's 20-something years old. A lot of you millennials are overweight, too, like our cameraman, Soldier Asa. Shout out to Asa for carrying that little extra weight around the midsection. All right, read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 4.
Yes.
I made me great works.
Solomon understood the difference between an asset and a liability. He had a lot of land. Read on.
I builded me houses.
So on that land, the acreage that this mighty man of Israel had, king of Israel had, read on.
I planted me vineyards.
So he had vineyards, meaning that when you think of vineyards, a lot of times we think of grape vineyards. We think of grapes only. Vineyards can be different species. Solomon had vineyards and houses throughout all the land. Read on.
I made me gardens and
gardens.
orchards.
Yes, sir. Read that last part again.
I made me gardens and orchards.
Come on.
And I planted trees in them of all kind of fruits.
Man, he had all kind of fruit in that garden. And you know why? Because a fruit tree is an asset. Because once you plant it and care for it every year, it yields fruit, right? But we gonna come out of this, New Orleans, we coming out of this. We go to the grocery store and purchase things as consumers and do not have anything for a residual value. When you brothers and sisters plant your gardens, especially your perennials, every year they're going to come back. More fruit and more fruit. My neighbor can't believe this guy. He cut down here about 4 of down here we call Satsimas. Satsimas, these little oranges that are easy to peel. He had about 4 or 5 Satsimas that came together, and he cut them down because he did not know what to do with all the fruit. About thousands and thousands, literally, of fruit he had every year. He had to cut it down. And guess what? That's hundreds of dollars worth of fruit that we need to have that. That's why Esau thinks. These other nations think that way. We have to come back. I got a little sidetrack there. Where was it? I went all over the place. Asset. Read that again.
Asset. Property owned by a person or company, regarded as having value and available to meet debts.
Right. So if you have a piece of property and it's just sitting there, it is still an asset. But now, how do you add value to that? Well, build a house on it, plant a garden, do other things that can help you raise quail, raise chickens, raise some livestock. Now that asset's bringing you value, and guess what? You now can have businesses off of that. And that's why it goes back to cursed shall be thy store, and he shall lend to thee, and you shall not lend to him. These are real curses, and it's not it's not 1912 no more. It's 2020 doggone one, and we're still seeing the same exact trends. As a matter of fact, we got a chart that's going to show it hasn't improved at all. Okay?
Hey, Cap.
Yes, sir.
America is built off of that. Because every time we get a call, what they say, you want to put it on finance?
Right.
So they built America off of people being in debt. Let me get Proverbs 22, verse 7. Because if everybody paid cash on their cars or their houses or whatever, America wouldn't be as rich as it is. But
That's
it knows
right.
that our people being covetous, we want the nice car, we want the big house, even though we can't afford it. So what we do, we put it on credit, and then what they do, they tax that credit,
Mm-hmm.
and then what they do after that, if you can't pay the house, they just take the house back. Read that real quick.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor,
Uh-huh.
and the borrower is servant to the lender.
And the borrower is going to always be servant to the lender, because what you asking for what they have, and that's our people. We never think to want to own our own because we think it's too hard or it's impossible to do it. That's it.
It is heavy. So go to I went off the track real quick. Yes. So the first, right after Akim posted the Black Fist, go down to, it says black and white economic gap remains as wide as in 1968. See, we oftentimes think, well, we done seen some change, because what happened with the change was this. Now, and I'm gonna swear, well, I could say because it's in the book of Acts, instead of calling you being called, you're a nigger, I don't like you, nigger, right? Niggers in the book of Acts. I'm not, okay. And you were called that for years, and now we can't say it? Okay. So, and then you were said, you stand over here. You drink out of that. You knew how he felt about you. You can't sit at this counter. You can't do this. Sit at the upper seats in the movie. Sit at the back of the bus. We knew our place. We knew our position. The only thing that's changed is that the mask is now on, the lines are blurred, and you're stuck in the same situation, only you think that you're free. It's amazing. Pull that up, please.
The black-white economic divide is as wide as it was in 1968.
Now, the source is, this is the Washington Post. So this is, again, a credible source. And you know what? Not anybody can just write for the Washington Post. You can't take Pookie from South Central Los Angeles and throw him a pen. No, these are economists and researchers. Read.
14 charts show how deep the economic gap is and how little it has changed in decades.
Hold up. 3 charts.
14 charts.
So these people go deep. They dig deep. They know about you. They know about your patterns. That's why a Jewish man could say to one of the, Damon Dash is a multimillionaire, by the way. And he is a colleague of Jewish men, because they are like, well, this one could come in. He's all right. He's not as stupid as the other 99% of them, right? And they're telling you who you are. They're telling you what the hell they think of you. Read, sorry.
The COVID-19 recession is also hitting black families and business owners far harder than whites.
That's a curse. That's a curse. Okay, start in many ways, because this whole article is good, but we're going to try to narrow it down.
In many ways, the gap between the finances of blacks and whites is still as wide in 2020 as it was in 1968.
So now that's actually 62 years? Somebody help me out with that math. 1968 to 2008 is 40 years. So 40, 52, 53 years. 52, thank you, Absakia. So 52 years later, surely the civil rights changed something. Surely we're more equal. Surely we are in a better state financially and economically. Read.
When a run of landmark civil rights legislation culminated in the Fair Housing Act in response to centuries of unequal treatment of African Americans in nearly every part of society and business.
No, not in nearly every part. In every part of society. Read.
In the decades since, white wealth has soared while black wealth has stagnated.
So white wealth has soared, meaning risen, and black wealth has stagnated. Read on.
Many have pointed out the far larger share of white millionaires than black.
So there's the rise in white people becoming millionaires. That's your net worth, meaning a millionaire. If you add up, basically what that means is your net worth, meaning if you do all of your assets minus your liabilities, if it's in a surplus of $1 million, you are a millionaire. Okay? So if you had $300,000 in the bank, a $500,000 house that's paid off, and $200,000 in treasury bonds and annuities, that's a millionaire, right? There are many times more white millionaires than blacks. It's just a quick little tidbit. Read on.
But even among the middle class, the inequities are stark. White wealth surges, black wealth stagnates.
All right, check it out. Now we got some data. We got some graphs. We love this. Let's get Bishop Yawis up on them. So let's look at this line graph. Source historical. Let's look at it. It's historical survey of consumer finances via Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis and University of Bonn economist Moritz Kuhn and Mortz, yep, that's a Jewish guy, and Ulrich I. Steins, another Jewish guy, of the Washington Post. So these are the same guys with the last names who said that were bold enough to tell Dame and Dash, your people are liquid money. So they wanted to prove it to themselves. So they looked at the data and studied you like ants in a box.
Can I pull a definition, Cap?
Please do.
Hey, look, go to that definition that I just posted. Yep, Britannica. Very credible source, Britannica. Put up the article that Cap just had real quick. So the median household income, that's what they're looking at. The stagnation and the rise.
Right. So what this is saying is, because I had to watch this a couple of times. So at the end of, they're saying that the average household in the black family is $13,000 worth of wealth, meaning that after they pay their bills, that's what they have left over, right? Not because $13,000, the average median black household is a lot more than that, and it's not anywhere near as high as that for whites. But look at the wealth disparity. That is astounding. Meaning after everything's said and done, if they had died and cashed them out, if you will, the black family has 13 G's left over after they pay all their bills, and the white family has almost 150. That's old money. That's insurance policies passed down. That is, we got to give her a great head start. We're going to give her $50,000. Roger, only 50. That's all I have left, Beth. $50,000 down for a house. Buy them their first car. I'll tell you what, Margaret, this year we're going to pay off Susie's student loans. All these things, they have that because you were slaves for 400 damn years. Okay? This is the reason why.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I want you to read the definition of minority.
Minority, a culturally, ethnically, or racially distinct group that coexists with but is subordinate to a more dominant group.
So I want you to read that part again.
Minority, a culturally, ethnically, or racially distinct group that
A culturally,
coexists.
ethnically, or racially distinct group that coexists, meaning they're integrated with but
is subordinate to a more dominant group.
but you're more subordinate to a more dominant group. So your race coexists or is integrated, but you are the subordinate to the dominant group. That's what it means to be a minority. Read on.
As the term is used in the social sciences, this subordinacy is the chief defining characteristic of a minority group.
Read.
As such, minority status does not necessarily correlate to population.
Minority status doesn't, because a lot of people will see those numbers, Cap, and be like, well, it's because it's more of them than us. No. No, remember the scriptures say we are as the sand of the sea that cannot be numbered. So just because we're called the minority doesn't mean that we're less of people in population. Read on.
In some cases, one or more so-called minority groups may have a population many times the size of a dominating group.
So our population is many times, You add blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, we are the majority in this country and the world. And the world.
And to prove what you're saying, officer, don't they call the Chinese a minority?
Yeah.
Don't they call the Arabs a minority? And they come over there and they do well.
Yeah.
They do great.
But they're still subordinate to the dominant group. That's what it means to be a minority. When you look, go back to those charts.
Hey, you hear what it just said? I missed it in when you said it. It said that a minority can be in populace outnumber the dominant class.
Yep.
So they might say, well, now black people technically are a minority. We're 14% of population. But there is, according to Esau, but North American wise and South America, if you look at North and South America, we are absolutely the minority. That's why they're trying to preserve with eugenics to try to procreate white population, because they know there's statistics that show by 2050 this is going to be white people will not even be at all, and they know that, and their birth numbers are going down, and ours is still rising despite eugenics, despite Margaret friggin' what's her terrible
Sanger.
name, besides Planned Parenthood and all that, we're still bringing forth children, and their wombs are not, and they know that.
Well, the scriptures say the more they afflicted us, the more we multiplied. And we getting afflicted. We are an afflicted people. You better believe we getting comfort with one another. It's a lot of black babies out here. A lot. Go back to that article that Cap had. Yes, that one. So the white wealth surges, black wealth stagnates. That's what this is talking about. Black people are the minority. Why? Look at the numbers. Like you said, Cap, at the end of everything, when all of our bills are paid for, we got 13 racks. That's it. They got house money at the end of everything. At the end of every year, they could just buy a house. In 2016, 2017, they could buy another house.
Now, remember, when we started it, it said they had 14 different graphs. There's one of them. Go back up to the top. We forget. It's already slipped my mind. But you might say that's one thing. Esau, the Steinbergs, the different Jewish men, this is where they get it from, because they study your buying trends. They go into the hood. They watch what you do. They formulate a plan on how we can market them. How do we time it? How do we do this? Where do they go? Where do they socialize at? And they study all of this. Go back and read down, please. Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
14 charts show how deep the economic gap is and how little it has changed in decades.
So how little? So we looked at one chart. We're not going to look at them all, but scroll down. We're going to look at another one. I think they have more than one. All right. Here's another one. So check this out.
The black-white wealth gap is as wide as in the 1960s.
So now let's look at. So if you look, apparently, if you look at the dot to the left, as you go horizontally to your right, it obviously correlates to decades passed by, right? So if you look at, there's 9.4%, and now in 2016, which is a little bit more than 40 years later, more than 40 years later, it is 8 points. So pretty much the same number. Median black household wealth as a percentage of median white household wealth. So it's almost the same exact number. So really nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, it has decreased slightly by approximately almost 0.75%.
So we only have 8% of what they actually bring in. Is that what this is saying?
That's terrible. I hope that's not what it's saying, but I think that's what it's saying.
Put it back on the screen.
Right.
The median black household wealth as a percentage of median white household
You're right.
wealth.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
what it's saying.
Damn.
We only have 8% of what they actually bring in. They bring in like 150,000.
So hold
only
up.
keep
Put
8.
it up again. Officer Matt, I'm falling asleep tonight. Forgive me, I'm tired. That means in 1968, we had more wealth, according to this chart, than we do now in 2016, which is 5 years ago. We actually were better off right after civil rights ended, percentage-wise, based upon statistics, than we are today. That's amazing. That's amazing. Scroll down real quick.
And you know what else is heavy, Cap?
Yes, sir.
You see how the big decrease is right before the 68. We had more working marriages.
Yes,
We had more working marriages with less money.
and that's a fact. That is a absolute fact. We brought that out on. I think you brought that out, Officer Thomas and Mickey. You brought that out about it was 80% of black folks were married in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and now it's something like staggeringly it's like almost 30.
25 to 30%.
So now, this is a really great article because what it does is Esau's dissecting you. At every education, I'm going to read this real quick. At every education level, black wealth lags. So the medium household, so let's take a look. This is like a vertical bar graph that kind of shows you on the left, y'all going to see income, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, right? And the colored, ironically, the colored tabs are black, and the lighter blues are Caucasian. That's what that means. So if you look at medium house brace education, so apparently, let's see if we can see this. Okay, I got it. Okay, so look, so if you have less than a high school education, an average white person can probably still make about 40 grand. You see how it's about halfway up to 100? But a black person making like 10, 12 grand. I'm just kind of throwing basic numbers. Look at what a high school education, right? Medium household income. Look at let's forget, I don't want anything else except the high school alone, right? So if you're white in this country and you have a high school diploma, your household income on average is about 100, right? You see that?
Yep.
And if you just graduated high school and you black, you damn near like maybe $13,000, $14,000.
It's the same as a high school diploma.
It's the same as
no change.
Now, go back to real quick. Now let's go to the far right. Let's look at an advanced degree. Like I remember when I first got my advanced degree, I'm like, surely I am equal to the white man now. And it got more difficult because the more power and more you think you get, now you just around a little bit more smarter white people. And they just talk to you down in different ways. You ain't learned that yet, have you? Let's look at that last one. So let's look at an advanced degree. Let's call it a master's degree. Let's call it a doctorate degree or perhaps a specialty degree. It's amazing because this is embarrassing. If you look at the white high school household income, and then if you're black in America or Puerto Rican and you have an advanced degree, look at that chart. You actually make less than a white household who that guy, all he ever did was graduate high school. Do y'all see that? Do you and look at the devil. He goes to make more than $500,000 a year once he gets an advanced degree. This is amazing. It's
called degree inflation. What once got you a nice paying job with an associate's degree that they don't even have it up there.
Right.
It ain't even nothing. Now you got to have a bachelor's degree in order to get $14 an hour. You get a master's degree, you'll get $18 an hour. Meanwhile, Esau is making $40, $50 an hour. Or, matter of fact, it's not even by the hour no more. They're now salaried. They're now salaried employees, and they can cheat on their taxes now. And you still waiting on income tax to come with a bachelor's degree.
Right. And you know what's heavy? Now that we know that we're afflicted in this land, right? So if we know that we're afflicted, this should be a more of a reason as a community that we should buy food together, that we should go in and do community gardens together, that we should help each other like we're trying to do is, hey, let's purchase cars that might not be brand new but have a long historical reliability record. And then once I have that car and I'm used to, and I know the car in and out, so when you have a problem, listen, I did that on my car. And then 3 or 4, you got kind of the same car. This is all you got to do. I got the parts. We've already done it. We can save you $1,000 on labor. We have to move like that because you're already at a great disadvantage. And we've got 12 other graphs that show so. But now check this out, though. This is the thing. What is the black man and woman spending their money on? This is the amazing part. We're going to have to do another show on this. Get me the article. It talks about black American consumer categories. It says, it's from Nielsen. It says consumer categories where African Americans move markets. So what are we spending? The little that we do get, what is the trends? What do the trends say about our spending? Because we do have a certain amount of spending resources that we are known as liquid money. So if we can go ahead and, this is a lot to this. Scroll down, please. Okay. Power, okay. Scroll down. Start with African Americans make up 14%.
African Americans make up 14% of the U.S. population,
Yes, sir.
but have outsized influence over spending on essential items such as personal soap and bath needs.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, it's not just soap and shampoo. That's talking about body soap, all these other accessories to make yourself feel special when you don't need any of that stuff other than the basic, very, for example, black people will get all this. You can use baking soda for pretty much anything, to clean your tub, to do a lot of different things. But we'll be the ones that get all the creative toilet cleaners and all that stuff. You do not need that, okay? Read on.
Feminine hygiene products and men's toiletries.
Right. You know why a lot of our sisters need all these feminine hygiene products so they can't keep their damn legs closed. And that's why we have the highest rate of STDs is than the black woman. That's why we have the highest rate of single-parent households, because these sisters can't keep their legs closed, so it's no wonder why you need more hygiene, feminine hygiene products. Give me Isaiah 3 about this, where sweet was now stink.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible speaks about y'all. And this is the thing. Y'all are very special. Our sisters are clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, and I say this very, very candidly, black women are the most beautiful women on the earth, both with the figure of their anatomy and their faces. They're the best. And the proof of that is, why don't other nations demoralize the white woman, the Arab woman? Because deep down, yes, the men are allowing it, but they are infatuated with you. That's why they do that. And we as weak men, well, not us up here, because we marry our women, and our women stay in the house and cook for us, and we take care of them, we take care of our children. But in the world, we ran like that. Read that, Isaiah 3, please.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 16.
Come on.
Over the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty.
Haughty, meaning like a bunch of hoes, running your big mouths. Read.
And walk with stretched forth necks.
You ever heard when they snapping gum, popping and sucking their teeth? Who he think he talking about? Who she thinks she is? Right? You the same ones who need extra massengill and douches and all that other stuff, because you are the highest consumer of feminine hygiene products. Read.
And wanton eyes.
And you're always focusing on the eyelashes. Why? So everyone can compete with you. Women compete with each other. Because brothers don't want to look at your damn giant 4-inch eyelashes. Read on.
Walking and mincing as they go.
Right. Shaking their rear ends and acting like everything is all Irie, and you live in a one-bedroom apartment with 4 different babies' daddies. Not all of y'all. Read on.
And making a tinkling with their feet.
Right. Come on.
Verse 24.
That's it. Go back to the article.
All right. Men's toiletries. Nelson research also shows black consumers spent $810 million on bottled water.
Bottled water. Why? Because we don't own wells. A lot of us live in the inner city where it's too. Number one, we can't afford. A lot of us, well, some of us can. We can't all afford the advanced water purification systems, and so we are scared. Like in Flint, Michigan, we're scared to drink the damn water. And so that's why black people are the largest consumers of bottled water. Did you know that?
Hey, can we get Lamentations 5?
Yes. Yes.
Just to go, it goes to show you. It goes to show you. For the one of all things. Remember Deuteronomy 28:48 said, and in thirst. We're going to serve our enemies in thirst. I believe you got it?
Yeah. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 4. We have drunken our water for money.
We have drunken our water for money. Money. It take money in order for us to drink water, instead of doing what the other nations do. Because Judah, I say primarily Judah because that's what I was around all the time, and that's who I seen do it. Judah got a complex of helping each other. That's why you kick your kids out at 18 when they could barely make decisions for themselves, and you say, get the hell up out of my house. Why don't you set them up? Esau, their kids being there till they 25, 26. And by the time they get out, they got a house. They have assets already. They're no longer putting up with liabilities. But us as black people, we treat our children as liabilities. Like, oh, another mouth to feed. But they got a job, though. If you teach them while they're there, they don't have to be a liability, and they won't accumulate liabilities. Therefore, when you have those things like that, you can tell your children, okay, all right, you got to buy a house. Make sure you get a water purification system. Right. Make sure you call my friend Dale over here who has a HVAC company. Let them look at your AC before you move into the house. Right. Hey, look at my homeboy Kenneth over here. He has a plumbing company. Make sure he looks at your pipes before you sign the mortgage papers. Make sure everything is straight. Make sure everything is set. Yeah, you got your uncle over here. He do sheetrock. We have to set ourselves up for success. That's why Northern Kingdom, their oppression is very, very fresh. That's why they could live 3-4 people in a house and work one at a time to get everybody else set. That's why they the ones driving the big old trucks. How you think they got that? Because they know how to share wealth in order to get what they need. Black people need to learn the same thing, or else you're going to see what you're seeing now. Statistics showing how much we spend on nothing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Y'all get a chance to read. We're gonna move on, but go back real quick. I want to show you. There's a couple other things that we spend money on. Keep going.
$587 million on refrigerated drinks.
We love juice and we love damn soda. Black folks, and we have the highest rate of diabetes too out of anybody else because we love sugary ass drinks. Read on.
Let me see. Luxury, non-essential products such as women's fragrances.
Right. Non-essential, like women's fragrances. Okay, sister got the dopest earrings and handbags and all, smelling all good, but she's in over her head in debt. It's $150 in the bank, and Esau will drive around in a 1998 Toyota Tercel and got $100,000 in the bank, and they wonder why. And Jake got a Lexus with a $500 payment and $350 in his checking account.
You got black women talking about what they deserve and don't deserve. Meanwhile, Bill Gates was a millionaire riding the bus.
Damn. So look, hey, all praise to the Most High. We're going to take a commercial break. Hey, thank you for joining. Hey, this show can be depressing because we're looking at hard facts. These curses are real, Israel. But guess what? This is to edify us so we can learn and we can build wealth in the nation so that when famine comes, when things happen, we're prepared. All right, so we're about to take a commercial break. Officers.
If I had a person where I want to be. If I had a person where I want to be, you can see me running to the battleground. Front line, first infantry. I want to be the first one there to get down. I would die on a day. I'm coming up to sacrifice me right now. Put me in the army of the Most High. Put me in the army of the Most High. Milk dripping from my cheek, but I put down the rattle for thou was girding me with strength.
All praise to the Most High. Welcome back. Hey, shout out to FCM, man. One of the hottest radio shows on. Captain Zakar, Captain Severus doing big things. All right. Look, we are almost running out of time. Look, do me a favor. Pull that article up again. The black-white economic divide as wide as it was in 1968. Y'all read these articles. They're packed full of information that's going to hurt your feelings, as it should, because you are under the curses of God. So if the Christians use Galatians, say that Christ became a curse, remember they use that? Then why is this still going on? If Jesus pinned all the curses to the cross, why do we still see this staggering, terrible statistics if everybody's equal? 14 graphs that show a high school white family earns more than blacks who have advanced degrees. That is astounding. Only in the Israelites. That's what only in our people that happens. There's a video. We got 20 minutes. Give me the video. There's a brother. He's actually on point. There's a video by toxic spending habits that are keeping you broke. This is a brother. This brother is actually very
strange day is coming.
he's a very wise young man. He understands money and principles of money, and he is called a sellout and a nerd by other black people. But he actually just talks facts about money. And this is a converted former weave buying. Well, she still got a weave on her, but this is a sister who is talking about how she used to spend money and some of the problems that make us toxic, so that they make 14 graphs upon us and call us liquid money. Let's look at this. Listen to it, excuse me. No sound.
There was a guy that I was watching one time before. He said that he wanted to buy. Everybody was asking, "Hey, when are you going to get a Tesla? When are you going to get a Tesla?" He said Teslas cost roughly $70,000. He said, "When I have at least $3 million in the bank, then I'll buy a Tesla."
Right, and there's a formula they'll say that if you can, there's a Edomite. It's the other thing, y'all. There's so much free information online and on YouTube. For example, there's free budgeting apps that if y'all want to learn how to not become liquid money, the resources are out there. We just got to go out there and seek it and take care of each other. We got brothers who are creating Israelite companies that are hiring other Israelites, brothers who are setting up community gardens so that we can supplement our grocery bills. Even if you could save 10% a month on your grocery bill through a community garden, what would that do for you? Year after year after year. Okay, if you never had a car payment because you took care of that same car, and you have brothers around you that have similar other cars, and then you can help one another. Well, I had that problem. Hey, I know we can do that. And then you save $800 here because you don't have to go to a mechanic and spend $1,200 on labor. These are things that add up that we have to take care of each other. And the Lord tells us that in Zephaniah 2. Play that.
Look, Anthony, I was once that girl who spent hundreds of dollars on hair and makeup and nails. And when you broke, you're going to finally realize that none of that stuff is important, right? Because a pandemic's going to come. Where are you going to go with the hair? Where are you going to go with the nails?
Come on.
You know what I mean?
Anthony O'Neill, this guy,
You are an author of
should check this dude
your
out.
newest book called Dump Debt and Build Bank, The Everyday Chick's Guide to Money. Yo, dump the debt, stack this money.
Stack that money.
Let's talk about this. The Everyday Chick's Guide to Money. Give me some principles that every chick needs to know when it comes to dumping debt and stacking this money.
First of all, you got to get on a budget. But before I even get into like the technical stuff, the tactical stuff, the first thing that I actually address in that book is your mindset, addressing the things that you grew up understanding about money as a child. And I have affirmations in there because I believe that we were all created to live an abundant life. And so until you believe that, you won't take the steps necessary to reach that life that was already predestined for you.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, get your mind right, and then we're going to get on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to start attacking the debt. We're going to call our lenders. We're going to make plans. And if you're paying off debt right now, like now is the best time because you aren't paying interest. You're getting right to the principal.
Mm-hmm.
But being smart and strategic about paying off your debt.
Pause
and then
real
once
quick.
you pay
When conversations are taking place with black people like this, they're ostracized. They're sellouts. Look at them. They sound white. But what they're talking about is self-preservation. This is a good conversation that you normally would not see two black folks statistically having. But this is some good stuff here. Because what they're saying when you read in Romans 12:2, it's the transforming of your mind. And that's why today's show is all of the spending that we have is done during this, most of it's done during this time of the year. So we have to come out of that. We have to change these graphs, change what we're doing, and look at how we spend money. Look at the things that we're should be spending money on to create assets and to create generational wealth. And these are the things that we as a people, as a large, we're not doing. And it's embarrassing, but we got to talk about it. Let's play the rest of the video out. It's only like 3 more minutes.
pay off your debt. Let's talk about building wealth. Let's talk about how do we end the wage gap for women by asking for a raise and negotiating raises.
Come
We're
on
going
now.
to talk about creating multiple streams of income, starting businesses. But then I even go even deeper. Once you have a family, let's talk about having an estate plan. Let's talk about having life insurance. All those things that I think a lot of books tend to miss, but are so important, especially for women. If you want to have, you need to have an estate plan for your children and for your family. You need to have life insurance.
Listen, let's go back to the mind. Let's go back to your number one thing that you address in your book, the mind.
Yep.
I think on both sides, I can only speak from a male side and then speculate from a female side. So you help me out from the female side. Is it true that most ladies feel as if they have to look a certain way, so they're willing to spend money on hair? You look good, got your hair done, got your hair long. You know what I'm saying? They spend extra money on the makeup because they want to make sure their face is not flawless. They spend extra money on the nice clothes. And so one thing I love what you said is before you get to the practical, have an understanding of where you come from. Because if all you saw were your parents and your family spending all this money to look a certain way, to come off a certain way, you don't care how much money you come from. How do we address that young lady that's probably upset with me on YouTube right now for saying this, but internally she knows, yeah, I'll spend $1,500 on a bag. Yeah, I'll spend, $1,000 on some weed. Yeah, I'll do this.
Pause.
And don't even.
So in the interest of time, I put this up here for 2 reasons. Number one, to show you that not all black people fit that category. And here's an example of 2 young people who are having a conversation, and the average person that you talk, a black person in Puerto Rico, they'll say, they'll actually demonize the way they're talking, and they'll say that they're not black enough because they're talking about things. They'll say, well, that's what white people talk about, so therefore I can't attain that, so they're white.
Hey, you want to why, Cap?
You
Give me 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. This is why. And conversations like that, if a lot of us, once we get into our 30s, mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, we look at conversations like this like, man, I wish I would have knew this when I was a teenager. I wish I was taught this when I was in high school, going out of high school, heading into college. I wish I would have known this. But because we have this type of mindset, black people can't do it because we're black people. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child.
So when we're children, we do the tough guy thing. We do the ratchet female thing. We do the spend money frivolously. I mean, because when you first get a job, you're 16 years old. You get a job. You got a couple $100s in your pocket. You flipping burgers at fast food, doing whatever. maybe checking or working in the mall or something like that. You ain't paying no bills. All that money is for you. You just stacking that money to do what? To buy shoes that other people don't have, to look the best. You want to look the best at the high school dances. You want to go to prom. You want to spend your money all on this. You really want to be flashy. That's childish stuff. Read on.
But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
When we become grown-ups, when we become adults, like the sister said, estate planning, life insurance. We will sit around and talk about us dying all day, but we'll never buy insurance to protect our families when we're gone. Because we look at death like from a street aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you know, I might get popped, but it is what it is. I'm about that life. Well, if you about that life, then plan for your death. Make sure that your family is taken care of. Make sure that you have a family. Make sure it just ain't that thing that mamas always do. Mama know her son is in that life, so she get that $10,000 policy that's real cheap, and it just cover burial expenses, and she left with a broken heart for the rest of her life, and your child or your child's mother ain't got nothing to fall back on. We got to stop being childish.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's when we go to Romans 12:2. It talks about the transforming of your mind, right? We have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, one of the stumbling blocks that the Israelites have in this captivity is that starting in so-called Halloween time all the way till the New Year's so-called January 1st, there's a time when it's elevated greatly, the spending. And our people are at the front of that, buying things they really don't need. They're liquid money. The money gets in their hand, it falls through. We have to stop becoming consumers who have liabilities and become repenting Israelites that strive for assets and create things for our family and our children. All right, that's what we wanted to show you, and there's a lot more. That video, watch the rest for yourself. There's one more video I want to show you, and this is there's a guy named Dr. Watkins. Is it Bruce Watkins?
Boyce Watkins.
Boyce Watkins.
This is a real B&H customer.
Hey, real quick, can I get Proverbs 27:12?
The book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 12.
Uh-huh.
A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and hideth himself.
This is a prudent man, one that has care and understanding, one that knows, hey, look, there's famine coming. Maybe I should take this money that I'm getting, maybe I should take this holiday season bonus, and instead of spending frivolously, maybe I should save that money for a rainy day. Maybe I should go buy vegetables to plant in my garden. Read.
A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and hideth himself.
Uh-huh.
But the simple pass on, and are punished.
The simple pass on and are punished. A whole lot of simple people going to be punished after this holiday season when they see them bills coming in, when they wondering how they going to pay their rent because they light bills sky high from all these Christmas decorations, when they broke because they brought their kids Jordans. They going to get punished in a whole lot of ways.
Hey, we shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Everything y'all see us in outside of these purple and gold, Walmart. It used to be Wish until the shipping supply issue started. Now it takes forever in the day to get stuff. But still, we Walmart shoppers. My children, we Amazon, whatever, no name brand. What your child gonna do with J's? Who they impressing?
Yeah,
they ain't impressing nobody. But you know what they doing? They putting MJ's kids through college buying J's.
And the parents living vicariously through their kids.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They want their kids to look all nice and stuff because that's how they wanted to look.
Uh-huh.
Child don't know a Shaq from a Ninja Turtle shoe to a Jordan.
Well,
You
y'all
know what I'm
better wear
saying?
some Pro Wings. While y'all talking about Jordans.
if I took my son to the shoe store right now, and I say, Trey, what shoes you want? You know what he gonna point at?
The ones that light up.
He gonna point at Paw Patrol.
Yep.
That what he gonna point at? He gonna point at Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol. He don't give a damn about no doggone Jordans. I'm like, man, you don't want these 9s right here? These are Jordan 9s, son. They just came out. Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol. That's it.
That's heavy, man. And there's actually other articles we had that talk about how much money we spend in Jordans. It's ridiculous. Let's say Dr. Watkins, there's a short video. I'm hoping it's like 7-8 minutes. Bishop was on this show.
Yes.
Bishop Nathaniel. This is Phil. What's my brother's name? This guy. He's got a Phil, whatever his name is. So Dr. Watkins is a black economist that actually teaches, I think it's called Black Boot Camp, Black Wealth Boot Camp. He is a black businessman. He is absolutely understands assets and liability. We're going to play this video. Show's almost. We're going to play this video, and let's see what Dr. Watkins is talking about.
What's going on, everyone? Today we are being joined by Dr. Boyce Watkins. We are very happy for him to join us on our platform. Dr. Watkins, thank you for joining us and welcome to the program.
Absolutely, brother. It's my pleasure to be here, and I love the advice show. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to, since you are a financial guru within our community, and we need to pick your brain on some things today in the area of finance. So most people see the title. We have a $1 trillion buying power, but in the black community, we don't benefit from it at all. Why is that?
Because black people are very good at giving their money away. We love supporting our masters, former masters. It's a habit, it's a tradition that we've had for hundreds of years. And to put it more simply, people don't understand the power of money.
Pause real quick. I'm gonna show you that he sounds real good, right? But I guarantee you, if you Google this guy, look at his Facebook, I guarantee you he celebrate Christmas. I guarantee you he celebrate Thanksgiving. So the things he's talking about is right. We support our masters, right? The thing you see, you understand it. But he is not fully repentant because he's still, you could type in Dr. Watkins Christmas party or something. You're going to find him in a reindeer suit or something with a moose mug like on Christmas Vacation, sipping eggnog out of a moose mug. Something he's going to be. Remember that movie Christmas Vacation? When Eddie was in the thing and he takes the moose and he goes like this and breaks the wheel. I used to love that movie. I'm going to tell you, I used to love National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He kidnapped the boss. See, we are embedded in that crap. You're going to find him. Is it show the guy or am I wrong?
The only difference with him is he makes so much money to where he can afford those things. The only difference with our people is we poor, we can't afford it.
Right. I already know we celebrate Christmas. And if I'm wrong. I repent. Play on.
We have not been trained to understand what money really is. Money is actually capital. Capital is something that is supposed to be used to help you make more money. Meaning, for example, if I take my money and I buy a building and some trucks in a factory, I'm not buying it so I can just live in the factory. I'm buying it so I can use the factory to make money, right? Or if I buy a cow, I buy the cow so I can get the milk and sell the milk. Well, that's what money is. Money's supposed to be a form of capital that helps you make more money over the long term. It's not supposed to be a form of consumption. Consumption is when you get the money and you say, okay, now I can make even more trips to the mall. The worst examples I can think of, man, are cases of like athletes who've never been trained on financial literacy, who will literally earn $100 million over, say, a 10-12 year period, and will just engage in extravagant amounts of spending that just don't make any sense. And what they don't understand is that when you have that kind of capital on that level, like somebody gives you $100 million.
Pause real quick. Pause. When he just said something, it slipped my mind. When he said all of these athletes that spend an extravagant amount of money, he mentioned hundreds of millions of dollars over 10 and 20. Remember he said that, right? When he said that, the first thing that came to your mind is black athletes, because white athletes don't do that. So he didn't have to say black athletes. We all knew as the audience he was talking about black athletes. That's how much we know the people of the curses. Let me give an example. There's an article I read the other day with Larry Bird. Y'all know Larry Bird was, for a white dude, he was a very good basketball player. Right? One of the premises of the movie White Man Can't Jump was about Larry Bird. Okay, because anyways, Larry Bird, when he was playing for the Boston Celtics, had a house that looked like Fred from down the block. You can Google Larry Bird's house that he had while he played for the Boston Celtics. It was a regular house. He used to wear regular clothes, okay? But not the black man that grows up in the ghetto. He gets a $100 million contract. He buys his whole crew car like MC Hammer's and 5 houses, and he lives in one of them. That's the mind of a destroyed people, okay? I think Rick Ross bought a house just so we could drive by it and look at it.
Yeah.
One of them brothers did that.
You know, black people, they like to model themselves after the Italians. And I was talking to my rib about that the other night. Black people like to model themselves after the Italians. But in every Italian movie, like The Godfather, they said, yeah, you know, the niggas, they really doing good with the money running stuff. You know, they driving around big old Cadillacs and stuff like that. They drive around with Cadillacs in the hood. These people are talking about them driving around in Cadillacs on an estate. They live on a compound. Black people don't even know what even consists of a compound. But these white folks is living on a compound talking about the spending habits of black people. Because that's what they know. They know we're going to be the flashiest. We're going to be the most extravagant ones ever. Matter of fact, Kendrick Lamar bought a regular house in California. I think it was like $300,000-$400,000 house. Regular house in California. And people was making fun of him. He bought his sister a $20,000 brand new car. People making fun of him. Oh, I would have bought her a Phantom or something. You got what you mean? Right. How much it costs to get an oil change in a Phantom? He buys her a Nissan.
Negroes don't know.
He buys her a Nissan, something that's actually able to be kept up with maintenance wise, and you call this dude, oh, he being cheap. Get out of here, man. We childish.
We gotta grow up. We gotta grow up and stop being Toys R Us kids. All right. Go back to, let's finish Dr. Watkins. It's heavy but just to show you that it's deeper than just, we can't just go to black businessmen and black economists and get our answers, because these same businessmen and black economists are sitting down at the Thanksgiving table, still partaking in the American Babylonian holidays. They're still celebrating Christmas. They're still bringing the New Year's thinking it brings in the dead of winter. And so they have something we can glean from. But as Israelites, we are the light bearers. We not only need to reform our mind financially to become less consumers, but we need to do so as the Israelites and recreate, as one brother put it, the Israelite Wall Street. Bring that back. Not Black Wall Street. We need to bring back Israelite Wall Street. We create markets where we now are asset holders and use money to get more assets to make money, like he's talking about, i.e. farming, i.e. our own trucking companies, i.e. our own owner-operator businesses, our own media companies. And then when we do these things, we outsource to other Israelite companies. We grow our own food. We can create, even if it's small distribution points in the beginning. Well, Officer Matthew has a ranch where he has a lot of livestock, goats and cow, and I have a lot of land where I grow a lot of fruits and vegetables. Well, guess what? I can do business with him. We could take care of one another. That's trucking can go, and that can really happen. Where now, we need refrigeration trucks. We got to transport. Now we're doing business within the Israelite community, and the money is staying within the community. Okay, that's the way the other nations roll. That's why they can sit back in there and they sat down and created these 14 charts upon you. Where do they get the data from that? Because they track spending. They can see what you're doing because they watch us. They watch us.
And Cap, there's a I think he's Ammon, a guy named Robert Niyosaki or Niyosaki. He said, I borrow money and buy assets. I don't borrow money and buy liabilities. You know what I'm saying? He said that's the big thing. People talk about, oh, don't borrow, don't get. He said, I borrow. I borrow money to buy assets with. Therefore, I'm paying back the principal in a quarter of the time that it would have took me had I bought a liability.
Right. He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know what you're talking about. And he talks about he had a rich father and he had a poor father. And he talks about the rich father was happy, a poor father was happy just being an employee his whole life. Whereas the rich dad became a businessman, an entrepreneur, and created an asset portfolio, which a lot of it was real estate, which then went on to make money. The point is that that's a very good example. We as Israelites, we got to come out of this. We got to point this stuff out because it is embarrassing, it is demoralizing, and it's depressing, especially when you look at those charts and you realize, damn, it's been 52 years and we still is in that position. Yes. But Zephaniah 2:1, as we gather ourselves together, as we look at Acts 2 and Acts 4, we look at the scriptures, we realize that if we work together and not spend as much money, you don't need a new car. You don't need, you got 3 kids and you want a 6-bedroom house. Thomas needs 6-bedroom house because you got a whole football team, right? But someone who has 1 kid, what do I need a 4-bedroom house when I got 1 kid? You crazy. We have to start thinking nation time, baby, nation time. Last scripture, because we about to close out. Last scripture, if you go to, where I just had this doggone scripture. Matthew chapter 6. I want to end with this one. And next week, we're probably going to carry on because we are in the midst of this time called the commercialization holiday season of spending. We're right in the middle. They just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And they got all these other days that they're sprinkling in there, right, up until December 25th. All right? And then even more so because then they have super after Christmas sale, after New Year's sale, all of this and that. And they,
Black Friday don't really end until February 1st.
Damn. Read Matthew chapter 6, verse 27, and then we're going to jump.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 27.
Come on.
Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature?
Right, and that's what we do. We want to be like the Joneses. We want to have the new car. We want to have the nice house and the fancy designer clothes because we're worried about what people might think of us. We're worried about our status, but we shouldn't do that. Read on.
And why take ye thought for raiment?
Come right. God got you figured out. God got us. Why are you worried about what you wear? Officer Matt mentioned, listen, I'm cool with Walmart. I'm cool with, I got no shame. I will go to Goodwill and spend $15 and get 3 pair of jeans that will last me 5 years. And they're actually decent jeans. As long as they're clean, and I make sure that they don't have holes in them, great. Read on.
Consider the lilies of the field, how
Right.
they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin.
He's talking about the lily. He's talking about the flower. He said, how is it that they don't worry about what they're going to eat and how they're going to be clothed? Read on.
And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these.
Right, we read about Solomon. It's ironic. We read about Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 10. Okay, you read about his riches and glory. How do we go from that to this? Because we are the Israelites and we're cursed. And we're living the curses. So your Christian doctrine is a bunch of garbage. Okay? Because Christianity said Christ nailed the curses to the cross. Then why does a high school white family earn significantly more than a black family with an advanced degree? Are you serious? In 2016, whatever that? That's a curse. That doesn't even make, that's irrational. Read on.
Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying,
Jump to verse 33. We're going to close
verse 33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God.
So in our repentance, seeking the kingdom of God is when we keep the commandments. Because in order to seek the kingdom, you want to be able to be in that number to get the kingdom. The way you get to the kingdom is by keeping the commandments and the faith of Christ. Revelation 14, verse 12. Read on.
And his righteousness.
Yes, sir.
And all these things shall be added unto you.
How? because then we're going to go and search the scriptures and realize that the servant is slave to the lender. We're going to realize that we should not be consumers. We have to work together to create wealth for our children, i.e. life insurance, i.e. last will and testament. All these things we have to do so that we can set our children and our families up. I stop looking to buy a condo, not saying wrong with a condo, when you go buy a land with a half an acre, and you could grow almost all your food on the land. There's a lot that we can do, Israel. We have to remember who we are. We should not be the consumers of the earth. The curses say that the curses can be reversed when you read Deuteronomy chapter 30, and these curses shall be put on our enemies. It's a curse that you have to borrow everything. You were not, Solomon used to lend things out. You were not always like that. You had power when you were keeping the commandments. And we were in our right mind. We had people paying taxes to us. And it wasn't for a long time. But we had it. Read on.
Take therefore no thought for the morrow.
That's right.
For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself.
So with that, listen, we went over by a little bit. All praise to the Most High. We're going to carry on part 2, the commercialization, and we're going to continue to look at statistics, at data, showing and reflecting how much of a low state that we're in over 50 years outside of the civil rights movement. And look, y'all stay in the spirit, stay tuned, and we have some announcements.
So look, Israel, those of you that are repenting and those that are not repented, instead of spending money on this holiday season, take that money and give alms. You can give alms to your local school via PayPal, or bring it to the school, drop it in the alms box. You can give to the radio show via PayPal at iuic.neworleans@israelunite.org, or give to the Booster Club at iuic.fundraising@israelunite.org. Just don't give it to Esau.
Israel United in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
All praise to the Most High. So thank you for dropping in on a Thursday evening with precept upon precept. We ask you, brothers and sisters, to please go to our YouTube page, share, comment, like, subscribe. We're trying to grow IUIC New Orleans YouTube page. And look, let us know in the comments about radio shows and topics that you would want to hear, all right? And if we see enough commentary, we'll do a show on that, all right? So with that, all praise to the Most High. We are your hosts. I'm Captain Shem.
Officer Matthew.
Officer Mikael.
Officer Thomas.
We are precept upon precept, and with that, we say shalom.
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 You listening to precept on precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line in the word make you respect. History collegians when we teach it, brains reset. You listening to precept on precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line, the word make you respect. History collegians when we teach it, brains reset. Putting in the work for the Most High. Valley of the bones coming back and we gon' ride, showing you